Hi, how are you?
Thanks for coming. And you got the gear on.
Oh, yes. Oh, I had to put the gear on
I
because,
don't have gear yet.
oh, what do you do? You got to get them on that.
I
They,
know.
I love this quarter zip. I
I'll
said,
tell him to get that because he said he didn't know what to get girls. So I was like, oh, I'll have to.
no, this is good. And it has thumb holes in it.
Oh, is it all the way zipped down?
Nope.
That's still warm though.
And it's not heavy. Like, I don't like
I
to wear
like
a heavy
that.
one. I just like a light one.
Yeah, and I love the half zip. I like them big on me too, so I can just cuddle up in it. But I love how punctual you are. You
Oh,
were helping us get coach last time.
I'm being late is a pet peeve of mine. I'm a nurse, so, you can't be late
Yeah.
as a nurse. I have to tell you, your interview with Fake Urban was so good.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I was like, I need their approval. I was so afraid that, it wouldn't be good to just go ahead and do it, but it was
No.
awesome to have you part of it. I had this idea in the summer to do a newlywed game. And
Yes.
yeah, we thought that'd be hysterical. And we would even have like the cutout of him. And I would just stand next to him and we'd have him zoom in.
I think that would be so funny. I know that fans would love that because whenever he and I interact on Twitter, I get so many tweets like, you two are like worth every penny on Twitter today. Like, it's just funny. It's just a funny thing.
Does coach ever look at it at all?
No, he's
I
just,
always wondered.
you know what he does on Twitter? He mostly scrolls and looks at football stuff and recruiting
Yeah.
stuff. He's not into the funny stuff. He's just not silly like that.
Yeah. I always wonder like what he thought because like that's someone who's just being him. Like
He knows about it. He definitely knows about it, but he he just he doesn't have the kind of time I do to mess around with that.
yeah. Yeah. And I found it so interesting that you had the opportunity to meet him and you didn't want to.
Did he tell you?
Well, I read the article on it and when I was interviewing him, I met with him in person. I know
You
his
did?
identity.
You met it with him in person?
I've met with him a couple times. Like he would watch my reports when I was on the fever and then he would message me. And I was like looking in the press room because he would get information and I would be like, is he in here? And I was so intrigued. And he would like play off of some of my reports. When the off season came, I was realizing, okay, I'm not going to be able to be on the field. And I came up with a podcast idea to have him involved. And he goes, yeah, we'll meet. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what to expect, but he trusted me to keep his identity safe. And
Yeah.
since I joined with a network, he wasn't going to sign anything. Like he's very, very strict about no one knowing his name
Yes,
or anything.
he is.
But I found it interesting that you could have met him and seen him, but you chose not to.
Well, you know what I thought of? It's funny because when oh gosh, what was his name? Kathy Lee and who was, oh my gosh, what's his name? Never
Some
mind.
movie.
I don't know. Some talk shows that have hosts a guy and a girl, they don't even say hi to each other until they walk onto the set because it makes it like all
Oh.
fresh, whatever they're doing. And I thought, oh, if I meet him, I think it's going to lose something because
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny that we don't know each other because it makes it more spontaneous. All the
I feel like, it would have been better if I didn't know you because now I feel like I'm talking to the actual guy rather than
right,
but he gets into
great guy.
character. He gets into character, I will say, but
He does.
it, it
Reed
would, it, it would have been better for me not to know, I think.
like to yeah. Well, I think it's great that you put his voice in Chipmunk. So
Yes. And then I have a YouTube version of it and I got like a side profile of coach with like the headset and I just made it like a silhouette. I even asked the Ohio State video crew guys, I'm like, do you have like a moving image? Because it looks like I'm talking just to like an icon, but it would have been funny to get like actual Urban in a shadow form moving as he's talking. Like, can you get him laughing so I can put in anything funny and put that clip in? But right
yeah.
now I'm talking to just an image, but it's funny.
It's
It's
Regis and
funny.
Kathy Lee is what I was thinking of. Regis and Kathy
Okay.
Lee. I mean, you're too young for that, but I remember them specifically saying, and I think that, yeah, I remember them saying, we don't see each other before we walk onto the stage for the show. And then it just keeps everything more spontaneous. And I was thinking about the same thing about Fake Urban. I just think it would lose some of the humor because all I know
I
about
think
the,
you were right. I think you were right. because I was nervous. Like when we were in our first recording, I was like, ooh, how do we keep this funny? Like, how do we get like a weekly show on it? But it does help that Coach is still doing television. So we play off of
Yeah.
that. Like I was like, I had to compete with your show. And so yeah, we had some funny stuff. And he like even a tidbit, like he knows his football, like he's an actual fan. So he wants to
Oh, yeah.
be an analyst in character as well.
Um,
So
and
and I think
he's very connected to the university too, and I'm not sure how.
I know that's why I was dying, but he there's a clue that I could tell you, but I always ask for permission from him first. But like he gets the media side, and he gets that all the outlets are very competitive. Growing the account, family members would get involved and send him stuff. So people sometimes they think they're actually talking to Urban, he said, which I found very crazy, but maybe because he's more active on Twitter, but it is bizarre.
I know that some people, they question me all the time. Is fake Urban really real Urban? Like, heck no, or real Urban
Yeah.
wouldn't do this, or probably even be as witty, even though real Urban is very witty, but he would never, he's not silly. He's not silly. And
the crazy thing is that I kind of feel like the guy himself really is different from the fake Urban character.
Yeah.
Like it's just so weird. Like when we're like scheduling and stuff, it's like a different person. It's so
Really?
Bizarre. Yeah. So it's like an actor getting into character, but I think it is cool that he gave details that he is similar to Urban's age and grew up in Ohio. So he does. I mean, he kind of fits a mold, but my first question was, is he like a teenager or is he, but he knew of the older coaches before Urban. So it kind of gave that away.
Yeah. I know, like we've DM'd each other quite a bit, and I know that he's a businessman and he has kids, and he's got either a kid or more at Ohio State. And that's really all I know. And his whole family thinks this is just really crazy and silly that he does this, but he said it's a fun hobby, and the Twitter people love it.
Yeah, even to this day, which I find awesome. Yeah. Well, I do want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me, and I always find it, very important to let people know like how much I appreciate your time, because I told Urban too. I mean, I'm so grateful. I've admired your family for a very long time. I grew up in Ohio. I went to Watterson. I was raised very similarly, and I have a very similar outlook on life, and relate to you guys in many ways. And so I appreciate you taking the time. And I told Urban like 100 times, he sent my stuff to Fox, and I was so grateful for that. Yeah. And I've talked to Fox before, but a referral from Urban is huge. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding. The next morning, my agent sent me a text from the head of the network saying, Urban loves Steph. And I was like, my agent's like, that was a good job you did. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I am very grateful for that. That helped me out a lot. So
great.
So thank you.
Sure.
I wanted to get into what you guys are doing now in Columbus, because life, even in the pandemic, looks a lot different, but you have a different perspective now of football, because you're not the coach's wife right now, but you are a coach's mother-in-law. You still have many ties, and Urban's still involved with Ohio State, but just what your perception is now from your new standpoint.
So it's funny because I taught my spinning class this morning, and somebody asked me, hey, are you going to the game Saturday? I'm like, no, I'm not going. I lived my life of football, and I am fine not going to the games now. I love to stay at home and watch the games, or go to Urban's Pint House and watch the games. But this Saturday in particular, we have a big Buckeye Cruise for Cancer fundraiser for our cancer fund. And it was planned before we knew we were going to have football with the Big Ten.
Oh, wow.
So it just this worked out great, because now they're going to have their big screens on, and kickoff is at noon, and the event is all day. So I'm going to go over there and support that, and support my son-in-law from the Bogey Inn, and watch the game from there. But I also have a son that's on the team at University of Cincinnati. So I do go to those games when they're at home. They're away this weekend, and he's on scout team, and he's not on the travel team. It's just his first year playing. So no, I will not go to any football game this Saturday.
How special is it for Nate to be on the UC team?
Really, he played baseball for 2 years on scholarship, and he gave up his scholarship to walk on at UC. because he wants to coach college football. This only came up in the last year. He has always said all along his whole life, I don't want to coach. I don't want to coach. I don't want to coach. I don't know what. Something happened. He spent a summer, 2 summers ago, working out with the Buckeye football team all summer. And then he would go sit in coaches' meetings.
Wow.
And he just got the bug. He got the bug. He loves football. He just didn't love baseball anymore. He wanted to walk on and get a player perspective of college football since he wants to coach it. His mom said, I really don't want you to do this. I really want you to do baseball. And he's like, I said, but I can't make the decision for you. And I can't say, no, you can't do it. So he's having a great time. He absolutely loves football. And he's learning a lot. He's meeting his goal, which is to learn some other stuff about the game of football as a player and not at Watterson. I'm like,
Yeah.
No, Nate, this is not Bishop Watterson. These boys are big and they want to take your head off.
Is Graff still coaching at Watterson?
Who?
Coach Graff. It was a girl I went to St. Michael, and her dad was the coach. Her dad had 4 daughters and no sons, but was the coach of the football team.
It's Coach Brian. He's a Watterson grad. Mm-hmm. And boy, I'm blanking on his last name right now, but I'm going to tell you because he's doing a fantastic job. And Brian Kennedy.
Yeah. My family was at Watterson for 10 years straight my older sister's 6 years older than me. And I recently moved back to Columbus. I was in Dallas and Chicago, but But yeah, I have a couple friends who stick around the Watterson facility and coach it. So that would be interesting if they coach Nate at all. But I love the Watterson days. Yeah,
Nate had a great time there, a great experience going to school there and playing athletics there, baseball and football. And Brian Kennedy he's a young guy that is really doing a great job with that program.
Yeah, and so now he's under Luke Fickle, a very close friend of you guys.
Yes.
So has Coach ever reached out to him just to check in on Nate at all?
No, but Luke has reached out to Urban to say, hey, Nate's doing a good job. I know I'm biased, but my son is, Coach's kids across the board. Everyone would say Coach's kids are the best kids to coach because they get it and they follow the rules and they do exactly what they're asked and they don't argue and they always put forth 115% effort. That's Nate always. Just a great, Nate's a great guy to have on the team because he's a great role model and he works hard.
Yeah. And he saw his dad, give so much to a program and understands the pressure. So he probably is able to see that in his own coach and respect them in that way. So that's like a unique aspect to it as well.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that he's with Luke and that coaching staff. I mean, as much as I was nervous about him playing football, of course we love Luke and Amy and the coaches on the staff. And so I'm just really glad he's there.
Yeah. Do you think he's ever read Coach's book about leadership and culture? I would recommend it. I mean, he's got so much insight, but it's his dad. So that'd be interesting.
I don't know if he's read it. I have to ask him that. He's not a huge reader. So I would say he probably hasn't. And he's just been so busy, you're in school, you're playing your sports and you're doing school and you're busy. And then you go to college and you're playing your sport and you're busy. He probably hasn't read it. Maybe
that'd be so interesting. But I'm sure that's, like dinner talk even with the types of information. Because you also have a degree in psychology as well.
Psychiatric nursing, yes.
Yes. And I talked to Coach a lot about that because he went into so much detail about leadership and culture. And I'm curious because he's a very unique coach to me. And I've worked with multiple coaches, but he has a very unique humanity in him and that he connects very well with his players. And I think that contributes a lot to his success as well, is that players truly want to play for the coach that cares so much for them. Would you say that you need that type of heart for football? I mean, it's a very tough sport and it takes a lot of hard work, but the humanity aspect made him very unique.
Absolutely. The X's and O's are honestly kind of a small part of the game because those are just things that you can teach. But what you can't teach is how to love your players and care about them after they're done with football. And Urban did a great job of being a great role model as a dad, with bringing in the families to be part of our program. Wherever we were, our families were part of the program. Our players always saw all of the wives, all the kids, all around, all the time, saw their coaches being dads on the side. As hardcore as they are on the field, then they're dads on the side. And that was a great part of that. And just the whole Real Life Wednesday, which, football's not going to last forever for so many of them. So what are you going to do? And so many of them are lost when they leave college because they're done with their sport. They have no idea what they want to do. So that was a great educational program for them to prepare them to go out and be productive members of society, good dads, great husbands, and get a good job. Urban always says, like, everything is about the student athlete. Everything is about the student athlete. And there's no compromising that. Whatever the student athlete needs, I will work as hard as I can to get it.
And so you guys as a family were able to show the kids on the field that you are their family as well. You really embrace them. Was it ever difficult as a parent, but also as the wife of a coach to let your kids know, like, I love you, you're special, we also have them as well? Would it have been hard to balance that? Because I can only imagine you guys give so much of yourself to balance it all.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Our kids just ingrained themselves in our teams too. They looked up to all these guys like big brothers, and they actually loved being around players. I mean, we always made it fun. We always went on Thursday evenings near the end of practice, and then got to hang out with them for a little bit and then have dinner with them. And my kids, that was just always part of their life. There wasn't even any explaining that needed to be done. And then Saturdays was the game. And then they got to watch their favorite players and hope, succeed most of the time, which was great. And it just, we had them over to the house, and that was just all part of the fun. That was just all part of the fun, was hanging out with those guys. And I mean, my kids loved it. There was never any opportunity for jealousy or anything like that. They were like, these are my big brothers, and they're coming over tonight for dinner, and we're going to have fun. We're going to go run around outside and play with them. And it just was fun.
And sometimes those players are fathers of their own. Have you guys ever had to give any advice to them as a parent to another parent who is in that position as a player? They're dedicating a lot of their time to the field as well.
All of our coaches had to be mentors for our players that had children. My only interaction usually was maybe at practice, there'd be a wife or a girlfriend there with a baby from a player, and just sit and talk to them and, just about whatever's going on. But I know that Urban and the coaches definitely had a lot of influence on those guys. It was their goal to have a good influence on those players, to be a good dad to that child that they brought into the world. And, hoping they stayed with the mom and got married and had a great relationship. And they really just tried to role model all of those positives all the time to their players.
And so now that your son-in-law is coaching, you guys have a very unique coaching tree going so far. And I talked to Coach about this, where at the Big Ten Championship, he gave the salute to Chase, and seeing his players, he's no longer coaching them, but he was still very involved with them.
Yeah.
And you said that sometimes watching your kids play some sports, it can be nerve-wracking because of safety and things like that. But from your perspective, watching them, what kind of nerves do you get now versus when they were still on the field?
Well, we still have players on the Ohio State team, so I'm still very, of course, hugest Buckeye fan, still cheer for them, want them to be successful. The injuries are the worst part of the game. It's the worst part of the game. I hate it. I'm always worried for every one of them when they get out there. Worried for my own son if he gets out there. But I have to say that now that I'm not the head coach's wife, there is some relief that whatever happens is not my fault now. Even if it wasn't my fault before, I felt like it was, because you're so tied to it. It's like every second of your day is tied to that. And we chose that. If I wouldn't have been like that, I wouldn't have cared so much. Urban wouldn't have cared so much. Our coaches wouldn't have cared so much. You want to care so much because they're kids and they're away from their families. And that was our job, to care about them when they're not with their moms and their dads, and to worry about them on the field, and then to celebrate with them after, which we got to do a lot of that. So that was great.
Yeah, I'm curious. Has Nikki written a contract for Corey at all? Now that he's taking a next step,
I don't think
maybe
she
as a joke even.
I don't think she has, because she hasn't shared it, and I think she would have shared it. The whole contract with Urban was because he had health issues. So Corey, so
Right.
far, he's 27 years old or whatever, 28 years old. He's pretty young. He's still very viable, and he hasn't been having any health issues. And I don't think she hasn't been pushed to that point yet.
That's so funny. My family has a contract joke in our family as well. My dad, when my oldest sister, both my sisters are married now, when they wanted to get married, my dad, I think he found it online, but he totally took credit for it. It was a very comical contract, like application to marry my daughter, and it was all of these like ridiculous things. And we also have it framed in my dad's office. So I thought that was hysterical.
I wish we would have found that before our daughters got married. Maybe we'll
It's
do
on
it.
Google. It's on Google. I thought it was hysterical. My dad's like, oh, it would take 4 to 6 years for processing. And it was just ridiculous things like I need your social security number, mental health check, Boy Scout rank, like really random things. And I was like, Dad, that's so clever. And I was like making a video for my sister's rehearsal dinner, and I found it online. I was like, Dad, you totally just downloaded this contract.
That is
He was
hilarious.
original.
That's hilarious.
And I also saw the story about how Coach sat on the bench for one of the girls' volleyball games and was asked, so you're a coach? And he goes, well, in fact, I am a coach.
Yeah, she's like, sorry, this bench is only for coaches. He's like, well, I am a coach.
All right.
Okay.
My dad did something similar there too. Both my sisters are in Atlanta now, and every time I'm in a city, I make a point to meet with the networks or teams there, just to network and build rapport with them. And so I met with the Atlanta Hawks, and my dad and my brother-in-laws all got tickets to go to this game. And I'm doing like a walking interview. We go to the media section and sit down. And my dad did the same thing. He went into the media section and sat down during my interview. And I was he was never asked though, but he did approach us and ask the guy interviewing me to take a picture of me and his daughter. I was like, Dad. But yeah, I can definitely relate.
And it's funny because our coaches didn't say a thing. We're like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I bet they couldn't.
So funny.
So let's say, what if Corey gets a job at Florida or something? Who do you root for, the Buckeyes or the Gators?
Well, I still cheer for the Gators. I mean, my heart, that part of my heart is still with the Gators. I cheer for Utah. I cheer for Bowling Green. People in Columbus are like, what, you're still a Gator? Yes, I'm still a Gator fan. We won 2 national championships there.
Yeah.
I miss them. I love the Buckeyes. I love the Gators. If my son-in-law went to the Gators, oh my gosh, I would still cheer for the Buckeyes. But,
let's say Nate is coaching for Ohio State. Corey's with Gators.
So then I have to get one of those shirts, House Divided or whatever, right? And a license
like
plate.
like the half jersey.
Yeah, and the license plate, House Divided.
And then they would probably just keep going to Urban, like swapping game plan ideas, and he'd just be like, I don't know how to navigate this.
One earpiece in each ear. Here's Florida over here. Here's Ohio State here.
That would be an interesting post-game experience.
It really would. Hopefully they'll stay together. Nate and Corey will stay together.
That would be unique. Do you ever foresee, and I did get some questions that Buckeye Scoop wants to ask, and you're probably going to expect this. Do you expect Coach to coach again?
Wow, this question just, every time
it keeps coming.
It keeps coming. Every time there's a vacancy or a wanted vacancy. And I get it because he's really good. He was really good at his job. And I can't, every time you say never, then you can't say never, right?
Right.
Like, I won't ever say never, but I'm just going to give, and this is my opinion, independent of talking with Urban or whatever. Mm-hmm. He is so healthy right now and having so much fun, and he doesn't have to use aids to help him sleep or get him through his headaches. And he hasn't had headaches since the Rose Bowl that he coached. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to say for that. There's a lot to say for Buddy gets to hang out with Troy and Gray, like whenever he wants. And there's something to say for leaving on Friday and getting back on Sunday, and that's your job.
Yeah.
You go, and then you're home, and you can go golf every day and play tennis every day, and you can go to Florida if you want. I'm just going to say that life is pretty darn good right now. And his health is better than ever than in the last 20 years. And I don't know what it would take to get him back in. I don't know if there is anything, and that's all I can comment on about it. But from my view, I really like everything that we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've lived in Columbus and Texas.
Oh,
and I'm curious what you think of the good old state of Texas.
well,
I did love my time in Texas.
Where'd you live?
I was in Dallas.
Okay, so you were in Dallas. So, of course, we won a national championship in Dallas. So I love.
I was at that game. And I told Coach that was the exact because I had friends on that team. I was still in college, and that was the exact story. I loved the story of winning with a third string quarterback, being the underdog, my hometown team in the city that I was moving to. That experience made me want to become a broadcaster, and then to interview the coach that won it was awesome. So yeah, that whole experience was incredible. And I want them to make a movie on it.
I know. And that stadium is incredible.
Oh, yes.
I loved playing the national championship there. I loved it. That screen, that huge giant screen. I had a great time. I mean, I love Texas. I've been to Dallas several times. I've been to Austin only one time. And I can't say anything bad about the state of Texas. That's it.
It's good to know. Good to know. What about making the jump to the NFL? Because that wouldn't require all the recruiting. Oh, no?
No, I already know. No. I mean, we are college football fans. We love college football. We love young men that are learning and that you can mentor, and they're impressionable still, and they do what you ask. And they will bleed for you if you ask them. Once you establish that bond with them, which Urban was really, really great at. Mm-hmm. I love the emotion. And I don't watch that much NFL. I don't. I love hearing about our players having success in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I do not sit and watch NFL games. It's a business. It's not the way we've been for 30 some years. And I like the way we've connected with our players. I know that that's not the way it is there. I have friends that have been in the NFL. I have wife friends, and nope. Not interested. Urban's a college coach. That's my vote. He's a college coach.
Yeah, and I think he loves to help them build their futures, and he cares about them in a way that's more than just what can you do for me. It's I want to see you prosper, in the NFL or whatever career you choose to take.
Absolutely, he does.
Yeah, the NFL. He wouldn't have to do recruiting, but there have been openings. Did you guys ever discuss this, or is this just? It's what he's passionate about?
He's been called before, and NFL teams have wanted him. And I remember I don't know if did you ask him this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
He didn't want to speculate. We were talking about culture, and he's the culture king. He can make anybody want to be a winner and build bonds with them. And so I was wondering, I'm like, Dallas Cowboys, Texas, they have talent, but they're not winning. What do you think it is? And so he didn't want to speculate, but he didn't talk about the job itself. But I asked him about, you could be the guy that does it for them out there. They could need you.
So I guess Twitter has us moving to Texas, whether it's Dallas or, UT, whatever, but that's whatever, that's Twitter. So I remember specifically one funny story about him being, he got a call about the Bengals one year. This was quite a long time ago. And I'm, in the kitchen doing stuff with kids. And he always comes and talks to me about this stuff when I'm busy and I'm throwing cereal around or washing dishes or whatever. And he's like, hey, listen, I need you to listen for a second. This, the Bengals are talking to me, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, they're talking to me about receiver coach. And I do not remember what players were receivers then, but I just remember him saying, what do you think? And I said, I did stop for a second. And I go, you would last 2 seconds with those receivers at the Bengals right now. Just because I know Urban's game. And it's a control game. And I know that in the NFL, it's a lot different. You don't have that control. And and this was when he was way younger and way more stringent about his control. So I said, you would last 2 seconds there. He's like, okay, you're probably right.
Just blew it off. And you guys have ties to Cincy too. So
Yeah.
that would have been not too bad. And then it been closer to Nate at that point. But
yeah, this was, I mean, I think Nate was a baby. This was a long time ago. Yeah.
this is
We do
okay.
have Urban sisters are in Cincinnati, and, you know, we went to school there, and we do have close ties to Cincinnati, but, you know, that isn't always the thing that wins you over to take a job. So there were a lot of things. He's just a college coach.
Yeah. Well, one thing that could influence his decision is NIL coming about, and how, name, image, and likeness. And
Oh, yeah.
he has spoken about how that could change the recruiting game, and, you know, coaches would have that type of leverage. What do you think that would influence his decision to come back as a coach? Because it would make it a little bit more, I mean, a lot of times college football does act as a business, but this would make that more so.
Yeah, it's now, you know, I've not delved into this deeply, but I just know that when you start getting money involved, I just worry. These are my worries about it, that it starts infiltrating your relationships of your team, the culture of your team. I think that, I don't know, I just love the pureness of college football, that it's all about team and team bond and playing for each other. And once people start getting paid, and I'm all for, I think, I wish there was a way to compensate players more, because I know they struggle. They, the money issue is it's just a huge issue. I'm just worried about what that would do to divide the locker room.
Yeah.
And this is a woman talking. This is just a woman.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
I worry.
Yeah, because I've worked with professional teams before, and there is a locker room divide, and because it's based on money. And like when I worked in NBA, it was like, you know, the sixth man, seventh man, all of that is very different than your elite all-star. And it becomes your superstar player kind of runs the locker room more than the coach, even in the NFL. And so that would be difficult. But I think if anyone could manage it, Urban would be the guy to keep it all in check.
Well, he's very involved in it. Like, he knows a lot about it. And I know he's trying to learn, you know, he's trying to learn a lot more about it and how to navigate it. But, I don't know. I just worry about it. I love college football the way it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not a player.
Consultant.
But I'm not a player. You know, I'm not a player. I don't sit on their side. I mean, I've seen their side for 30 some years, but I just love college football. Is one of my favorite games, other than women's volleyball, college volleyball. Love football, college football, and I just love it the way it is.
Yeah, my mom coached all three of us girls in volleyball. So, and I grew up in Columbus, so we're Buckeyes, and we love volleyball as well. But do you think that would have influenced you as a parent when your kids were going through recruitment, the name, image, likeness?
Well, no.
Because you could love the coach, but the locker room could be a different story.
We weren't, you know, I mean, that wasn't even a thing when my girls were getting recruited, or Nate. Yeah. So I can't say that we even thought about that then, because they were already through. No, recruitment was about the connection with the coach, the college, of course, where they wanted to attend, and what were they going to do for our kid? You know, how were they going to take care of our kid? That was what was important to us in recruiting.
Well, now that you guys are empty nesters, you guys do have something new going on, the restaurant. And I'm not even just saying this. That's my favorite place to watch a game. I'm going there tonight, even. I'll
be there. I'll see you
really?
there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We'll have to take a picture by fake Urban.
Okay.
we'll have them post it.
Okay, good. We'll do it.
But I'm not even kidding. And the Shelley's Froze is my drink there.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. It's my favorite place to go because it's nicer, but can be casual. And it's just a fun environment. It's great. That's my favorite place. But what's it like managing a restaurant? And then you get hit with a pandemic. Ugh. I mean, I'm sure you guys weren't expecting that to be in store.
No, that has, you know, we actually, we don't have anything to do with the day-to-day runnings of the restaurant. And also, Stephanie, that is my favorite place to watch a game.
I love it. I'm not even just saying that. I genuinely love that place.
Love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the fans there. What I'm most sad about is during the games, you know, it's wall-to-wall standing room only last fall. We can't do that this fall. You have to sit in your seat. You have to stay at your table. So we'll still have good crowds, but it's just the packed in people and the screaming when we score. And then it's just a great atmosphere, lively. I love hanging out there anytime. I love
Yeah.
being there anytime. I love the food, the management. Corso Ventures has done a fantastic job, but we knew they would because Forno was one of my favorite restaurants, or still is, before we even built this place. And we knew that Chris Corso knows how to run a restaurant. So it's been really fun. I love when people stop me in the community and say, I just want to tell you, I love the Pint House. I love going there. I love the frosé. I love the shrimp grits.
I do love the frosé and the flamingo in it too.
Yes, yes. I love that I had a little bit of influence. It's fun. I love meeting girlfriends there and hanging out. And, they've done a really good job because they shut off that street right in front of it so we could add more tables. Now, unfortunately, winter's coming, so nobody's going to want to sit out.
I feel like they might still come. You get the little heaters.
Yeah, or I've even talked to them about getting those igloos. Like Vaso has igloos. I'm like, I just think that's a great idea. No, they've done a great job with doing what they can to keep the business running since we were able to, come out of the quarantine and get back up and running.
Do you think you'll have one in Gainesville at all? Florida one?
No. Spurrier's opening one, but I don't think so. Nobody's ever approached us about that. So
okay. Like, are you guys big on board games? Are you guys big gamer people?
We're not. We were when the kids were little. Sorry,
okay.
And we're big, and we don't do that anymore. We just don't. No.
I was just wondering how competitive those games would be, because like my mom is competitive. I can only imagine Coach during a card game.
Okay, well, no, I have a story. We did used to play when the kids were little. We played, and he was awful. He can't lose in football. He can't lose in Monopoly either. So no, everything's a competition. Like the team, when he runs a team, everything's a competition. There's a winner or a loser, and that's how it is in our house.
So they were never raised like you guys never let them win ever.
Oh no, and not everybody got a trophy either. Not everybody got a trophy. You're either a winner or a loser.
We only have winners in this household.
We only have winners.
Okay, I'll get to the questions that Buckeye Scoop had for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. They we put it in the forum. They want to know and you kind of got into it with the Buckeye Cruise, but what does your game day look like? What did it look like when Coach was coaching versus you haven't really had game day yet, but maybe with Nate or, this is the first Big Ten game this year.
Okay, so when Urban was the coach, depending on what time the game was, the noon games were really hard because I didn't have as much time to go work out and do what I wanted to do because I always wanted to get a workout in to calm my nerves. That's what I always did, and it always helped. So I would usually try to get a workout in somehow. And then tailgating was a big deal. Our wives group always tailgated together. We all packed our cars, brought stuff. We had one place together. Our guests and families came and tailgated with us. And that was a good bonding time and just a fun time. Actually, it was the most fun of the day because the games weren't that fun. And I readily admit that. The games were not that fun because it was so stressful unless it wasn't stressful. And and I, when I was at Florida, I sat outside all the time. All the time. I sat in my seat outside. I didn't sit in the box. The weather was always great. Then when I came to Ohio, I got wimpier and whippier, and I would sit in the box when the weather wasn't good. But I prefer to be out in the atmosphere because that's what's fun about college football is being out with the fans and being out. So it depended on the weather, whether I sat outside or up in the box.
Okay.
And then depending on what happened in the game, which fortunately we won, I don't even know what the percentage is. I don't know, point whatever.
Yeah, he's third most winning college football coach.
It was a lot of wins, so you can imagine after the game, it was a very happy time, and people would come to our house, and the best thing is once you win is going to watch other games, and because
stress is off.
It's just so fun. The pressure, you won your game. Now you can enjoy the rest of the college football day.
That's how I was.
Yep.
Get through the pregame because that was when that's when I would have my stand-ups and I'd be like, okay, I'm just prepping, and then once it's game time, I'm like, okay, now I can breathe. Like my show's over, I can. And
you could, but we couldn't.
You're sure? Well, no, because I wanted the team to win because it's never fun covering a team after a loss. Like I can't. The Fiesta Bowl was the worst post-game experience of my life. That was tough because when you cover one team specifically, you do get close to them and you want them to win. And I grew up with the Buckeyes.
Right. So
Yeah.
you get it because, and after a game, if we lost, I hated that it was the worst thing that could happen in your life because that's not how I feel. I'm like,
Yeah.
this was a game. It was a
Yeah.
game. Nobody died. I just never was like that and I hated that it ruined my day. I hated that it started to ruin my week and I refused to let it to. I would just go on with my week and like I would go to my spin class in Gainesville and people would be like so droopy. I'd be like, people, this was a game. Come on. Life goes on.
That's awesome.
We have another game next week. I don't want to see any frowns in here or any crying. Let's go. Let's work out.
You know what? I used to do body pump with you at Premier at Samo. Now that I remember that, because I was still in college, but I was a fitness instructor at Miami when I was in college. But I'd come back on my breaks and you would be at body pump. Now that I think about it.
Oh my gosh!
With Darby, I love Darby's grit classes too.
Yes, Darby is a beast.
But I don't know if Premier at Samo is even going to be around though anymore.
Oh gosh, I'm so sad if it goes away. So sad. We don't know for sure yet what's going on, but I just keep teaching and keep going there. And I keep hoping that something will happen that it won't close. I love that gym.
I loved it too. And Mike, when he goes, yes, I love Mike.
Taught spinning. Mike takes he goes, yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
That was his thing. I hadn't been there in years. I'd graduated. I lived in Dallas. And whenever I'd come home, he'd remember my name. I'm like, Mike, you're the best. You're the best.
He is the nicest guy and very supportive in class. I appreciate him so much.
So they want to know, this one actually came up a couple of times. What is Urban's go-to meal to cook for you? If he cooks or if he grills.
Oh, anything we do on the grill is him. Anything. Okay. He has a green egg that he's really into when we have time to use it. So I would say salmon on the green egg.
What's a green egg? I'm thinking.
Oh, a green egg? Oh, yeah. It's a kind of a smoker type grill. You need to look it up. It's green. It looks like an egg. It's called the green egg, and you use special chips in it to give a smoky, to flavors to the food. It's okay. But it's kind of tedious because you have to watch the temperature and it takes a long time and you have to really watch it. It's an event.
Okay. So you probably have to have a TV out there so you can do something.
You do that when your friends are over and the guys all gather around the egg and the girls all gather in the kitchen and fix the food. And then you got football on or whatever. Yeah, it's an event. You don't just throw something on every night. You use the gas grill when you throw hamburgers on, whatever.
Okay, so I have this one because Kirk said the biggest sign of love that coach can give one of his coaches is firing them. And one time he had to fire Corey. And so, I guess he was on the treadmill and he told them to come in. And so have you ever had to deal with that where, something happened with Corey and coach, but Kirk said coach loves you most if he has fired you.
Wow, that's an interesting twist. I don't think I've heard that before. I think it probably lasted all of 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Just to get a point across?
I didn't know the backstory, but he goes, yeah, coach loves you if he's ever fired you before.
Well, he is, I will say, if anything, I think he's always been very fair in coaching. Yeah. And he really hasn't had to fire hardly ever, only once or twice. And of course, his son-in-law, of course, he was trying to teach him a lesson.
That would be so tricky.
Yeah, so tricky.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I think it lasted 5 minutes.
Right. Okay, so did you ever have any game day superstitions?
Oh, yeah. And if we were winning, I would always wear the same outfit every Saturday.
Oh, really?
I wore the same thing. And I would sit in the same place. And if things got bad, us wives would change seats. We would move around and change seats.
Oh my gosh.
You have to change up the mojo. It's so silly, isn't it? Because, I have no effect on that field, but you feel like you do. So
you feel like you have to control something. You're like, I got to do something. Yeah.
So we just would move around. I would say, okay, I'm going to sit over here. You come sit over here. So
What about like a family member that came to visit and then there was a loss? Did you have to tell that family member, you can't come back because we lost? You're the bad luck charm.
That was the worst, is if we had house guests and then they're coming over after. And Urban definitely was not
Oh,
good to socialize, nor was I.
or
But I mean, it
host
happened.
people.
No, it was awful.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted, like a long time ago, to say no house guests for game weekends.
Yeah.
But we had so much family that wanted to come, and we had friends, and no, it wasn't fun. And it was just not, that was not good.
At halftime, if you're down, the friends will be getting Airbnbs and
I know. We'll just drive back to Connecticut tonight.
that would be hysterical.
Well, okay, if you really want to, sorry.
Okay, they want to know, how do you spend your days in Columbus? I'm sure it's working out, spending with the grandkids.
So Mondays and Tuesdays, I teach for the Ohio State College of Nursing, and it's all virtual. So I'm on Zoom off and on from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 days a week. So I work 20 hours a week. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I teach a spin class in the morning. So in the afternoons, I would run errands. Like today, I need to mow the yard. I need to go mow my pool yard. So I do it today or tomorrow. I love to mow my pool yard. I have to run errands, like mail things, run to the store, whatever. I usually pick up one grandson, either Gray or Troy, at like 4:30 and play with them for about an hour, and then take back to their mother so she can give them dinner and the bath and all that. Sometimes I have charity meetings I have to go to, or lunch with a friend, or something like that. So even though we're in a weird time with the pandemic, I'm definitely still getting out. I'm still getting out. I wear my mask everywhere I'm told to, but I love to exercise. So I always do that every day. Every day I try to do something with exercise. Mondays and Tuesdays, that's hard right now because I work until 2, but then I'll try to go to the gym and do something. So that's always a big part of my day.
Yeah. Okay. So they're asking if you are, other than football, what are you and Urban very passionate about? Whether you have specific causes or anything in that regard.
So we are very passionate about several charities. I mean, we support a lot, and a lot of different ones, and some of them we support, a ton, and some are just little things that we do throughout the year. But the Buckeye Cruise and the Urban and Shelley Meyer Fund for Cancer Research is a big part of our year in doing. There's events all year long. We try to attend them whenever we can. And like I said, there's one this Saturday that we're going to go to. Well, I am. Urban will be working with Fox. We support the Ronald McDonald House. We support the Women's Care Center, which is a Catholic-run center for women who have unexpected pregnancies. And we want to save those babies and give those moms a chance to have that baby, whether they keep the baby or adopt that baby out. Very, very, very involved in that. We're getting involved just recently. We just started getting involved with human trafficking. And we just had a huge event about, I don't know, when was it? September, with Timmy and Demi Tebow. We partnered with them to have a huge, wonderful charity fundraiser to fight human trafficking. And it was at Urban's Pint House, and it was awesome. And Gary from Rascal Flatts was the music, and he's my very favorite.
I love them. He went to, I think, Liberty, right?
He did.
I love Rascal Flatts. They were my gateway to country music.
He went to school with Darby.
Oh, really?
He and Darby went to homecoming together.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he stayed at her house when he was in town. They're really good friends.
With her pet pig?
Yes, with Zeke.
Wait, I didn't know it was named Zeke.
Oh, the other one died.
Oh, and he was big.
Mr. Pickles died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He died. She got a new one.
He's a character.
The new one is not as big as Mr. Pickles. He's littler, and his name is Zeke.
Oh, that's so cute. But I had no idea she went to prom with Gary.
Yes, homecoming.
Yeah,
I think prom is more serious. They went to
even one of the Rascal Flatts songs. I think it was Mayberry, and it was one of their songs. She was on break from Ohio State. Yeah, one of the lyrics, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah. No, he's still very tied here to Columbus.
And he went on the Buckeye Cruise once, right?
They did. They came on and performed. They were the big group to perform for the cruise, and they were outstanding and awesome. And so human trafficking, and I have a meeting in November. I'm going to get even more involved with that with Maria Durant and my friend Stacy Trout from the gym. We have a group of girlfriends that I
worked with Maria,
yeah, we just feel really strongly about that issue right now. So I'm going to get involved here in Columbus with some of the organizations that support those women, and guys, get them out of it. And so that's coming up. And then there's just, everything, just little things here and there. We really believe in paying it forward and giving back. And that's what Woody Hayes was all about. He started that, but we've always been involved in our community wherever we've lived and wanted to give back because we feel so fortunate for what we have and we want to share it.
Yeah. You guys give a lot. What are your favorite vacation places to go to?
Well, I love anywhere in the Caribbean. But we have a house, our retirement house is in Sarasota on Siesta Key. So we most often just go there now because we have a house there. And I love Siesta Key Beach. I could walk it all day long, and I do when I'm there. I was just there last week, and it was beautiful weather every single day. And, we've been to go travel and have fun. Always got to be somewhere warm though.
Yeah, that sounds like my parents. They just everyone in my family, we're from Ohio, but they all moved to Atlanta. So they're all south now. I'm keeping the Ohioan roots going here.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And I like Georgia. My family always wanted to go south, but.
And our daughter went to Georgia Tech. So I spent a lot of time in Atlanta for 4 years, and I actually loved going to visit her there. Loved it.
Yeah, they all settled down there. So they were all over. They were in Orlando for a little bit, Chicago, and that's where they went to settle down. So, okay. Do you say the word Michigan?
Nope. No. I've slipped, and then it's 10 push-ups. But no, I've gotten really good over the past. I haven't slipped in probably 5 years.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so they want to know, who are your favorite Ohio State parents, former or current? That's a tough one.
That's hard because I've been involved with a lot. I was very involved in recruiting with a lot of players, and it's hard it would be very hard for me to single out any parents. Yeah. I would just say that I was very fortunate to get to know parents because they want to know me. They want to know who's going to be taking care of my child. Yeah. And I wanted to reassure them and was happy to meet with them and go have dinner with them when they were on their visits and let them know, you know what, we care about these kids like our own kids, and we will feed them dinner. And hey, I even got a violation for making cookies for a player once. That's how much I care about players. I got an NCAA violation.
Oh my gosh.
At Utah, one of our players, a running back, got Mountain West Player of the Week, and I always made cookies for Mountain West Player of the Week. And he talked about it on ESPN. He got interviewed. And I got a letter from compliance that the player was ineligible until he paid $4 for those cookies.
$4. This
is how petty it gets. This is insane.
Well, I do know the current players get like candy bags and stuff like that.
Thursday night, yeah. So he had to pay $4.
That's ridiculous.
Before he could play on the next Saturday. And I remember the letter, the follow-up letter said, Mrs. Meyer did not know this was not okay. This was
really though.
She has been reprimanded by her husband.
I never heard about this letter. That is ridiculous.
I laugh about that so much.
That is crazy.
So after that, I, had to be a lot more careful.
You cannot cook for the players. That's crazy. The last one is about the special cup. They want to know when you drink out of it. What's the origin of the special cup?
I'm going to go get it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it'd be really big.
No, it's more like 3 shots.
Game of Thrones. It looks like a Game of Thrones cup. This is a goblet.
It's a tiny little goblet. So this is a very special gift from my friend Adam, who lives in the New York, New Jersey area, and he's Jewish. and he's a huge fan, and we interact on Twitter all the time. He's a very funny guy on Twitter too. And I went to one Ohio State game a few years ago. He and his family were there, and they had a suite, and they invited me. So I went and visited them and met them in person.
Oh.
And they gave me a special cup to drink out of, because this is what they drink out of.
They brought it. They specifically brought this.
Brought them with them. They brought, like, they had several, and they let me out of one. And then he just sent me this. In the last year, he sent me my own. So I have my own cup. Thank you, Adam.
Oh, that's so funny. So now we know about the special cup. That was the final question we had for you. I really, really appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to play the newlywed game with good old fake Urban.
That would be fun. That would really be funny.
Yeah. I thought it'd be funny because if you've seen the gif of like the Spider-Man, like there's 3 of them, they're like, which one's Spider-Man? I thought it'd be really funny to have like fake Urban interview real Urban. I don't know if he'd be up for it though.
That is funny. It's just a funny concept.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get that going, but I guess I'll see you tonight, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Buckeye Scoop.
Buckeye Scoop and Kirk.
Awesome. Yes, and I'll see you at the Pint House.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye.